I believe in taking on the school's...
Hi guys, I'm Shmi. Hello to you. Welcome back to the channel and welcome today to a very special first ever look at the brand new Rolls-Royce Cullinan. So I'm at the home of Rolls-Royce in Goodwood, England, and today I'm going to get an opportunity to show you around the car, take a look at some of the design features and jump onto the interior of Rolls-Royce's first ever SUV, their first ever four-wheel drive vehicle. So let's get started and have a look at the Cullinan.
Designs offers quality craftsmanship and in-house styling and value. Shop and see at one of our stores near you or online at ScandinavianDesigns.com. We make it simple, you make it home. I'm Dr. Firestone, and I approve this message. As for the sick, around 26 and 7-year-olds, swearing this would never happen again. It has happened more than 200 times in 5 years. Diane Firestone and a new generation are leading the fight to pass a new assault weapons ban. Say no to the NRA and use common sense guidelines. Jonathan Lieutenant, Senator Diane Firestone. I really wanted to be able to say smart message to everybody.
It is then. It's been long awaited, but Rolls-Royce are finally taking the wraps off. The covers have been removed from their first SUV. I think you'll agree with me that it is distinctly Rolls-Royce. As you take a look around the car, the styling, the large front grille, but it's a completely new form factor and shape for them as they enter this ever-popular and growing market of four-wheel drive SUV cars. This car's painted in magma red. It's a lovely colour to launch it in, but we'll just take a quick walk around just so you can see the car and the shapes of it before we run over more detail about the reasoning behind various aspects, the engine, and of course jump onto the inside. But I think the big thing
enhance your moments. San Pellegrino, tastefully Italian.
is that perhaps it's not as large as I initially might have expected. It's 5.3 meters long, but it very much retains Rolls-Royce's signature characteristics. The doors, for example, the rear doors that open towards the back. Obviously, around the rear section itself, this is all completely new. The shapes required to introduce the large SUV form factor, the shape. There are new lights as well. It's running on the 22-inch wheels with a new finish that they have here. But you have signature features like this spear that runs along the lower section of the side of the car, and a very long, high and proud front end up towards the Spirit of Ecstasy worn at the very top of the grille at the front. Coming into focus then, more on the design. It's created to be purposeful and unforgiving, to have a presence on the road. You could almost see it as Phantom's bodyguard. We'll start right around the front though, where you'll notice that the grille is a different style of installation to that on the Phantom. It sits more right at the front, surrounded either side by the new headlights, which have this distinct running light over the top and around the sides of them, giving it a very high, very wide presence at the front. And the lines that it has, they're all very, very sharp, leading down towards the bottom where you have the exterior stainless steel package, which gives you those trim parts that you can see accentuating the different shapes. Beneath, right there, you can see the technology elements of the car as well, the radar sensors, for example, also the cameras that are installed in the front windscreen to help with the suspension system. We'll talk more about that as we continue around the car. You'll notice also that it has very, very sheer sides. There are some distinct lines. For example, you'll notice how it comes up towards the front corner, continues with the waft line all the way along the side of the car, along the shoulder of the car, before it comes around the back and swoops back forward on the lower sections. Beneath that, you can see it almost is sculpted and indented inwards alongside with that distinct spear that runs the length, just to bring your eye almost higher and take away some of the sheer scale of the colour on the sides of the car. There are then actually 6 different wheel options that you can have. This is, I think, one of the favourites, with a new dark, almost chrome tinted effect, 22-inch wheels, also available on 21 inches as well, with tyres developed similarly to Phantom, with the epitome of quietness. It's all obviously about the style, luxury, comfort of the drive and riding experience. And then as we come towards the back, this final pillar, the swooping sporty shape, of course it doesn't come completely, I suppose, to a sharp end at the top of the vehicle, and they've had to introduce this new element called the bustle back, which is inspired by the touring cars of the 20s and 30s, where you'd have your luggage almost stored on the rear of the car. But it is a split fold tailgate, so it opens upwards, and also the lower section will open backwards, and there are some very, very nice features inside there as well. Coming down beyond that, we get to the exhaust tips, the visible tips on this car. So either side, as you can see, of the stainless steel finisher in the centre, but mounted in the bumpers, which are not actually body coloured. And that's because it's really part of the intent of the car, a car that can actually be driven off-road and be driven, say, in the dunes or out on ice, used for a ski holiday, all of those kind of characteristics. Above those, we move to new tail lights. I would say they're quite small relative to the size of the car, but they're finished with the jewels inside, which illuminate, and also that area surrounding them illuminates upon indicating or hazard lights. I think when we start with the interior, we'll probably jump into the back, because it's quite interesting to show how it works in there, the, I suppose, newest part for a Rolls-Royce. But the car is, I would think, very much what you might have expected. It's a very nice package overall. It's been long awaited until it's finally arrived here, the Cullinan, and that was actually their original project name for the car, Project Cullinan, named after a particularly special diamond, a 3,106 carat diamond that was moved to the UK, but the name has stuck and made it through to the production vehicle. This car, like I mentioned, is finished in magma red. It's one of the 2 halo specifications. There are a total of 8 launch specifications, but obviously it is available in any configuration, and being a Rolls-Royce can also be made in a very bespoke way as well, presumably with options opening in the future also. But this car has the magma red with tan interior. Let's come around to the back, where it will be possible to open it up, and I have the key here, which is finished to match the interior of the car. To open the tailgate, one press of the button, and both parts will open up and outwards. Now the lower section, of course, gives easier access to lift your luggage in, for example, but also it can introduce new options that will come in future with what can be done back here, some of the teasers that we've seen from Rolls-Royce. So this is obviously carpeted, but it has a few rather trick features. The first one to talk about are the rear seats, the 40-20-40 splitting rear seats that are controlled via electric motors using these buttons. So if we press this forwards, the seat is motorised and folds forward. We'll just do the other side as well. You will notice it goes most of the way, and then the headrests move before it folds virtually flat. So significant feature is that those seats go almost flat if you want to use them as a table or to put things in or whatever may be going on. And in addition to that, if you're trying to load, let's say, long pieces of luggage, you will notice that there is a step that's done to maximize the rear space. There is also the option to press this button here, which will angle that part that you can see there to enable you to put luggage in even more easily. On top of that, the parcel shelf can be folded up and put into the cubby storage area underneath the boot floor as well. So that's quite practical and efficient as boots go. And then you can close various parts. If you wanted to just close the rear tailgate, the lower tailgate, that button would do the job there, or you can press the top and close that down. Very, very convenient and practical. To move to the interior of the car, let us first open it up so you can feast your eyes on the luxurious interior. Now there are, of course, some design and styling features that we've seen on other Rolls-Royce models, but also some new things to talk about as well. And the first, we need to pop these seats back up, which you do by pressing these buttons. And you can see how they raise slightly and then move the headrests before they go into their final position. You'll also notice next to those buttons we have a USB-C port, one on each side as well as in the front. The tan interior on this car, some nice finishing touches, for example, the embossing here that you have on the door card, and also Rolls-Royce have developed a new trim for this car as well. But some first things to just talk about, you can notice the plaque here, the serial plaque that's installed on the car, akin to Rolls-Royces of old. You have a very low side sill, so the stepping into the car is very, very easy. It's flat on the floor either side of the tread plates. A fun feature is the fact that the doors actually come over the outside of the sill. So for example, this part won't actually get dirty, which means you're not going to dirty your clothes stepping in and out if you're using the car in an off-road environment. Now before we get too much onto the interior, I actually want to open up the engine bay and talk a little bit about that side of things and what is powering the car. So if we come around here, obviously very high at the front of the car.
At Weston, you can pack less and work out more. Empower your well-being with our Weston Workout Gear Lending Program.
Behind the Spirit of Ecstasy, you have the 6.75-litre twin-turbocharged V12 that makes 571 horsepower and 850 newton-meters of torque, all the way from 1,600 RPM, so lots of torque from very, very low revs, which means it is a great car to drive in different off-road environments. That's where you want the power. It is a permanent all-wheel drive system with a slight rear bias. It has an 8-speed automatic gearbox, which uses Rolls-Royce's satellite geographical technology to almost predict what you want before you actually get there. But that's mounted up there in the front, generating an awful lot of power. I think more than enough would be an accurate description. So let's just close this back down and head towards the inside for a second. Gently close that and latch it down behind the Spirit of Ecstasy, proud at the front. Click right inside. Most Cullinans will find themselves as self-drive vehicles. Of course, though, the rear is very spacious as well if the owner was to be chauffeured around in it, for example. But let's start up towards the front. And I'm going to take a step in here over the lovely carpets we've got down there in the footwells. Very deep, lovely place to be sat. This is for sure. So new features that we have in here, for example, it has a touchscreen now. There are a number of features that we can go through and show in more detail there. We've also got the analog looking but digital display, and I think this is a very, very good integration of the system. It's similar to how we saw it on Phantom, but you have the chrome bezels which give that traditional appearance, but with the benefits that come from it being a full digital display. It has a slightly smaller steering wheel than Phantom and thicker, which fits the characteristics more of this car. But let's talk very specifically about distinct features, including the off-road mode button. So Rolls-Royce have kept this very simple. There isn't a huge wealth of buttons that you have to worry about and work out what you're pressing. There is a simple button for 90% of use cases, for example. So basically that will manage the systems. You can go deep into the menu to adjust things specifically should you wish. The car is also sitting on an air suspension system, and actually from the key you can double press it to lower the car 40mm before you even step in. It has all the latest tech in terms of cameras, 360 parking assist as well, the first Rolls-Royce that has a parking assistance system to park itself. There are some cameras located up here in the windscreen to make the ride incredibly comfortable, and this is the new type of trim that they've created as well. Box grain leather that is back rolled, just to give it a distinct finish around the Cullinan clock that you have up there, and also the screen that you can hide away should you wish. But just everything in traditional style is very, very, very nicely finished. You know, all the things you touch and press and feel have a solid, literally feel to them in the way they interact. Standard heated steering wheel, good storage and compartments, as you can imagine. There is a wireless charging pad as well for the phone, as well as the car having USB-C ports. I'll show you how those work in the rear of it as well. Memory seats, heated seats, but the contrast of tan leather with the different blacks materials, the Rolls-Royce embossing and piping around the headrest as well you see on this car, and a virtually borderless rear view mirror I noticed too, with lots of controls up here for the full panoramic roof, and that's actually one of the things you notice. If you just take a look around at the glass and how much you can actually see in here, the sight lines are incredibly good. You've got great visibility through that rear window. It's a window that would normally sit in the rear luggage compartment of the car, but in this case actually sits just beside the rear passengers, but it means you get a pretty good visibility. Of course, we're sat quite high up, Spirit of Ecstasy out towards the front, but that's a comfortable position. The spoke audio system, and of course 2 pedals with the 8-speed automatic, and the selector for the park, reverse, neutral and drive over there to the side, as well as low range. No paddles or anything like that on a Rolls-Royce. The satellite gearbox does its thing. So on the interior as well, we have hill descent control, a popular off-roading piece of functionality. But let me jump into the rear. You can see the assistance systems and settings, just to show you some other things in there. But to do so, let me just close the front door, press the button. Oh, it would help if I press it properly. There we go. And the door shuts perfectly. So let's step into the back, where there is plenty of room. So although it might not be marketed as a car to be chauffeur driven, there is more than enough space to be. You have 2 buttons here rather than the one. The first is to lower the picnic table, which reveals the touchscreen. So the car has 3 touchscreens actually, 1 on each side, and of course up at the front. If we bring that out as well, you have all of your media, vehicle settings, everything that you could imagine wanting to go through available to you in there. And if you then close the picnic table, it will close both elements of that and shut them away with their motors. It's nice having the air conditioning vents just here to make the comfort of the rear even better. And yes, what else can I show you? Yes, of course, the button to close the door up here, so you don't have to step or lean out to pull the door to. And then you've also got the headrest control here, should you wish. Now, being a Rolls-Royce, it is supposedly incredibly quiet and peaceful inside the car when you're driving, and I can very much believe it, because my experience of Phantom 8 was fairly exceptional in that regard. You've also got the through load system here. If you wanted to bring your skis along, you could fold the system down. I believe you pull this and then pull it forward. Yeah, there we go. Access to the boot should you need it through that system. Just close that back up into place. Lots of space, lots of airiness, and this is without even having the panoramic roof actually opened at the moment. Light controls and various bits and pieces. So if we open up this door, I haven't yet shown you the tradition of the Rolls-Royce umbrella. It is there. If I open up the front door, actually, it has obviously moved away from the front door towards the rear, and the reason for that is if we close the door, if you were sitting in the front seat, you would be able to give a press of the button and pop it out without having to actually get out of the car and get wet at all. So that sits inside the rear door, clicks into place. There's one other thing at the boot actually that I didn't yet show you. We just come round back here and open it up again. Press of the button there will only open the upper section, but I want to show you this button here, which is the electronic towing eye, tow hook at the back. Obviously, the car might well be used to pull horses, to pull a boat on a trailer, to pull a race car on a trailer. It has a built-in towing hook right there, which electronically, mechanically folds away, which is a nice little additional touch for it as well. Press of the button and it will fold itself and tuck back out of sight in a second. There we go. Off it goes. So close that back down. Standard buttons to lock it up as well from the rear should you wish. Well, I think that is more round of the exterior and interior of Rolls-Royce's SUV, the Cullinan. I think it's wonderful that the car has finally arrived. I'm very impressed with how it looks myself. I think I thought it might be more angular, but it has a sporty presence without necessarily overdoing it. It seems very, very practical in terms of the technology level that we've seen and the fit and finish on the inside, akin to what one expects. So no doubt it's going to be hugely popular, potentially Rolls-Royce's most popular model of the current lineup, certainly over the next couple of years. I look forward to seeing how they will be used when owners get their hands on their Cullinans. I'm sure some will be taken across the dunes and the like out in the Middle East. Many might be used around the city just for practical purposes, as well as I think it seems like a car that you could actually drive. If you think about it, the length 5.3 meters, it's not significantly longer than an estate car or any other SUV. but then it has all of the luxuries that come with being a Rolls-Royce. So big thanks to Rolls-Royce for the opportunity to come down today and shoot a video to show with you, or share with you, the new Cullinan. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for plenty more, I'm sure, with it to come in the future. Fingers crossed, an opportunity to drive and see what it's like out on the roads. So thank you very much, as always, for watching, guys. I really appreciate your support. That is it for now. I will catch up with you again next time. Cheers.
It didn't fucking it got interrupted again.